What's up, everybody? John Arapoli here with My MMA News, and today's guest is coming off of a split decision victory over Rogerio Bontorin at UFC Vegas 46. I'm talking to the number 5 ranked flyweight contender in the world, Brandon Royval, here today. Brandon, thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate the time, and congrats on the win.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your time also.
Yeah, man, no problem. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I think this is the second time now that we're doing one of these, so I always appreciate your time. And let's get into the fight here this weekend. So, great fight. It was a fun one to watch. Lots of action to break down here. But before we actually get into breaking this fight down here, just how are you feeling right now? A few days here removed, or like 2 days removed here from fight night. Just how is your body feeling, and how good does it feel to come off a win like that?
Yeah. Well, I was so excited to get a W, man. I'm so excited. I went a year without pretty much fight. I went 6 months injured, and then I had a fight, and then I lost that fight, and then just to be back in the win column is amazing. And then I got hurt against Brandon Moreno, and I went from 2020, where that year was like the most amazing year of my career, and then 2021 was such a downer right afterwards. So I'm glad that I could start the year off with a win, and then just kind of get moving from there. But I guess as far as injuries go, I've never noticed it in the middle of a fight, but my ankles swell up real bad. I hurt my ankle pretty bad in the fight. And I'm fine. I'm bouncing around on it a little bit, and I've been taking care of the swelling, but I twisted my ankle pretty bad in the fight. And I also had a swelling on my elbow because we were throwing a lot of elbows back and forth, I think.
Yeah, I would say, I know you talked about balance afterwards and stuff like that. That might be maybe part of the ankle thing. And we're going to get into all that stuff now here. We're just going to start getting into this fight breakdown. But before we get into specifics like that with balance and whatnot, I do want to just get your thoughts overall here, because this was it seemed almost for a lot of this fight kind of like a striker versus grappler type of a matchup here, because it seemed like when you guys were on the feet, you were smothering him, you were right in his face, such a high output, but then he was able to kind of get his hands on you, take you down to the canvas. Then there was a lot of scrambling going on when you guys were down there for 15 minutes. What a great fight to watch. The fans really got their money's worth out of this fight here. Just give us your thoughts overall on this fight and kind of how it went down in your eyes.
Yeah. And even in some of the grappling exchanges, I felt like I was attacking more in the grappling situation, but I kind of felt like it was the game plan was I was trying to speed things up, and he was trying to slow things down. And I think that's a really good game plan from Bontorin, and slowing me down, I think, is pretty key in some of these guys' strategy to beating me. And he was good, man. I was hoping I was going to steamroll through him. I knew it was a great fighter, or he's a great fighter, but I did not want to have a close fight like that, back and forth. And looking back on the videos and stuff too, is I was upset. I was like, this is a boring ass fight. And I thought that I kind of got I didn't think there was that much action in it, but kind of replaying it and seeing it through, I was a lot more happier with the performance, and a lot happier with what was going on. In my head, I was like, this dude's trying to do nothing, but I think it was a good response to what I was trying to do. And I was trying to attack, and he was just trying to smother that attack, at least on the ground.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you said there that you were happier with the performance after you went back, were able to watch, because that night inside the octagon, when Michael Bisping was interviewing you afterwards, you were very hard on yourself. What was that all about? Are you typically that way? You always wish you could do more, you wish you could always do better?
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that, man. I'm by far my worst critic, and I'll always be that way. I think one of the real issues is my amateur career, and then pretty much the whole portion of my pro career until I got into the UFC. I was just getting all first round finishes, and I was kind of steamrolling through people. And it's just when it's not that, it just feels like I'm going to lose or something like that, man. It just feels not like I just didn't do a good job in there. And yeah, I'm kind of I think I set a precedent early on in my career that I'm going to get in and out of there. And I think that's the standard. And I forget that I hopped up from a regional competition to fighting the top 10 in the world really quick. So it's just, winning at this level is so hard, man. Winning at this level is so difficult. I'm not fighting amateur. I'm not fighting regional. I'm fighting the top 5 in the world, the top 10 in the world. And these guys are good, man. These guys are really good. And I need to be proud, and I need to be a little bit more happy with myself and all this stuff too. Is I tend to be a little bit of a pessimist, and I don't know. Looking back at some of the videos, it's really good to just learn off of a win, man. And I could go back, and there's a lot of lessons that I could learn in that fight and go back and take from it. So I'm glad to do that off of a win compared to a loss too, man.
Hey, and a lot of people always say, right, you win and you learn instead of win and lose, but sometimes you learn and you learn. There's always a lot to take away from a fight there. And also, too, to your credit, I mean, you've had a difficult road to this journey, too, because you've fought nothing but the best since getting into the UFC, tough opponent after tough opponent. So kudos to you on that, and that's why you're a fan favorite, too, like that. But sticking with this fight here, I do have one other question I wanted to ask you. It's not often that we see something like this. So in the third round, you went for an arm bar, and it looked like you had that locked in. I think you're gonna snap his arm out there for a brief second, and it looked like when I was watching the fight, they came on the commentary and said we just got video replay. I think he tapped and the ref missed it, and that's kind of been the debate afterwards. And I've been seeing a lot of people writing articles on your fight and debating this back and forth if there was a tap. Just want to get your thoughts on that sequence now that you've watched it back. If that was actually a tap, and when you were in there, did you feel anything as if he tapped or not?
Yeah. So I thought he tapped, and I thought he tapped more than what he actually did. But he definitely hit a quick, like I straightened his arm out real quick. He did that tap, and then you could tell he regretted it immediately. And I could see, like, you could even see in the video, like the arm's tight, and then right when he tapped is right when I started to slip out of it a little bit. So he did that. He tapped, and not only did he tap, he looked at the ref real quick and was like, "Oh shit!" And then he got out of it. But in his defense too, is like I never stopped cranking on that motherfucker. As soon as I got that arm, tap or not tap, that referee got to pull me off before I let go of arms. I've learned that lesson before. I've let go of arm bars. I let go of triangles, and somebody popped up and the referee didn't stop it, and I had to continue fighting. I had to go back for the submission. So I've learned that lesson before, and that shit will never happen again where I let go of an arm bar or anything until the referee pulls me out of there. So he tapped, but to his defense too is just I didn't let go of that arm bar. So it was like I still try to crank that shit. I still try to break it off. But he definitely did a boom, regretted the shit out of it, because like as soon as he did it, it loosened up and his arm like kind of like it like eased up a little bit. Like you could tell the angle changed as soon as he tapped. And then he looked at the ref like, "Oh shit, did he see that?" And then he kept battling from there. But also in his defense too, when I was elbowing, I was coming down. I headbutted him somewhere along the lines too. So we're even one, and I got the W. So it's like, whatever. I don't care. I don't care, and I didn't ease off his arm the whole entire time in that arm bar too. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and as the fight kept going on too, it seemed like you just kept getting stronger and stronger as it went on, and that's a lot due to your high output and your high volume. And I know we just talked about that a little bit before, but going back and looking at this fight, given that it was a very close performance here between both of you guys, do you think that made the difference in this fight, that you were always on the move? Like you never stopped moving. You were always on the go and always looking to strike and always looking to do something. Do you think that was really what made the big difference in this fight? That, like you kind of said before, he was trying to slow it down when you were trying to crank it up?
Yeah. And for me, and like my opinion on the fight is, I was trying to win and he was trying not to lose. I think he was holding on. He was looking to smother and he was looking to ride out the minutes. And I was looking to finish him the whole entire time. So from like an aspect, and this is always the aspect I like to think of it, and I got to quit thinking of it this way, but as an aspect of like, who's going to die in that arena, is that wasn't going to be me, man. I wasn't going to be the first one to tap out. I was going to be the first one to get knocked out of us too. I was going to walk him down the whole entire time. So we're playing a game of no time limits. I was a more dangerous fighter out there, and I was going straight to the point. But the difference in that fight was the third round. The difference in the fight was the third round is when that third round came, my coach came in my ear and he's like, this is a 1-1. This is a 1-1 tie right now. He won the second round. You won the first round. And he goes, now you need to fucking prove it to yourself that you're going to go win this third round. And it's like, I had to make that decision in my head that I'm going to fucking go forward and I'm going to stay attacking. And I remember I did some dumbass back elbow on the ground. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, man. I really have no clue what was going on in my head. And when I did that, he's so strong. Like that was like, and also Bontrain was the strongest guy I've ever grappled with. Like I've grappled 55ers up. That dude was strong, man. I couldn't believe how strong he was when he had me in half guard or in side control for a second. But I got put down on the mat and I was like, fuck, it's like this might be the fight. You know, I did that early on. I got taken down, and right when I went to go get back up and made space to get back up, I did some dumb move. I tried to back up when I was coming. I don't even know what I was thinking, man, honestly. But he came into my guard, and as soon as he came into my guard, I just went right on the attack. I went for a go-go, and then that armbar came, and then once that armbar came is right when I started to get up, and then I reversed him, and that last minute, I think, was a huge difference. I put the exclamation point on the third round, and that secured the deal for me. That third round was everything.
So I want to now go back to a point that you said earlier, right? You were talking where you said you kind of rolled your ankle. There was a moment in the fight where you kind of swelled up and everything. There was a few moments where it seemed like you got hit with the big punch and you fell over. When you went back and watched the replay of it, it wasn't. It was you kind of stumbled a little bit. And you even said afterwards inside the octagon that night, you're like, I need to work on my balance. I've never heard a fighter say that ever. It was the first time I think I've ever heard somebody say that. What are things that you could do to work on balance or something like that?
Well, for me and as a fighter, is I just stand really tall sometimes. I'm a pretty tall flyweight, and when you're tall and you're throwing a kick up high, you just have no balance at all. It's like if I can stay loaded, I can spring back into my stance and all that stuff. And it's just something I need to work on in general. I'm not the most athletic person. I'm pretty flat-footed. Not as a fighter, I bounce a lot on my feet, but I'm flat-footed in general. Like my foot's flat, so it's hard for me to like keep balance compared to I think most people. So it's something I have to constantly work on. And it's as far as an athlete, I think it's one of my weakest things is balance. And like on top of that, I'm one of those fighters that do a lot of things that require me to be on one leg at a time. I throw a lot of kicks, I throw a lot of knees. So those maneuvers require a lot more balance than if I was just a box, and I was just standing my 2 feet down. So working on my balance and just staying long and just staying a little bit lower will help me out a lot there. But yeah, Von Train even knew he didn't hit me because when I fell back, it's not like he rushed me or anything or seemed like any urgent. He was just like, oh, okay. Like he missed the punch. I just tripped. Like I felt like an idiot,
Well, I'll tell you what, though. No matter what happened in it, whether it was good, whether it was bad, you got the win. Great performance, put you in a great spot going forward here. And I want to talk now about the future here. And before we get into any long-term things here in the future, you're looking short-term at the moment, right? This weekend, of course, UFC 270 goes down. There's going to be a big championship fight in your division. Brandon Moreno defending his title against Davison Figueiredo. You said if something happens, you want to be the guy. You'll come in short notice. You'll take that fight. You're keeping yourself ready to go. Just how are you feeling right now about that as a possibility? And then let's just say hypothetically something happens, they give you the call. Just how do you feel you match up with those guys?
Yeah. So for me, I'm the only person that makes sense. Is all the higher guys that like the people that are higher than me is Pantoja's injured. Askarov, I think, is in Russia, and so as far as that goes, Kai Car-France is an option too, but he's back in his hometown too. So it's like as far as a week notice goes, I'm the closest there. I'm the highest ranked. I'm the only one coming off a win because Alex Perez is higher ranked than me, but I'm coming off of a win. And it's the only thing that really makes sense as for me to be the alternative. And as you guys know, Figgy's been missed weight a few times or missed weight for a title fight before. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have an alternative up there. But I like the way I match up with both those guys. I get to study both those fighters kind of a lot, and there's a lot of footage on them. And, and those guys have 25 minutes together in one fight and then a good 15 minutes in the other fight that I can just study them over and over again, man. That's solid studying for those guys. And I like the way I match up against both those guys. And like I said, I have a heads up on them, I have a heads up as in like, I know both their styles really well.
And first off, by the way, before I ask this next question, let me just say, if I was the matchmaker, you sold me with all of that too. It makes a lot of sense, especially on short notice like that. But I'm not the matchmaker. But if I was, you have me sold for sure there. But
yeah, I think I have them sold too. Honestly, I think I have them sold. It's just what's Figgy's weight right now. Moreno is going to make weight for sure, but what's Figgy's weight right now is the real question. I think I have them all sold on it. I think it's the only thing that makes sense.
And another thing that you said too, following the fight, I love this call out too. You were saying obviously, you're hoping to be this guy that steps in at short notice if something is to happen. But if it doesn't, the fight goes through, you'd want the winner, and that's something I think makes a great matchup too, because we're so used to seeing guys when they get in the year spot, right, in the top 5, everybody wins, you call out the winner, or for the champion. Well, unfortunately, only one person could fight for the belt, and it ends up being where you have 4, 5, 6 guys calling out the champion. You called for the loser. I mean, that's an interesting call out, a call out that I think makes sense, a call out that's unique. So if that's a thing kind of going forward, just talk about that, because it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that that's a definite possibility, and do you think that obviously you get that, it puts you right in the position to get a title fight then?
Yeah, I think I think if I'm being brutally honest or if I'm just being honest with myself, is I don't deserve the title fight next. It's as sad as that sounds, and as much as I fucking would just want to be here and be like, yeah, I deserve to step up next. I don't deserve it next. Askar's right there. He hasn't fought in a year, and he missed weight his last fight, so I do think he needs to fight Kai Kara France to earn that spot completely. And then Pantoja beat me, and there's no questions about that he deserves that spot in front of me too. So it kind of comes down to, is Pantoja going to be okay for the next title fight? And if Kai Kara France doesn't knock off Askarov, then it kind of bumps him in front of me too. So fighting the champion, there's two guys that are ahead of me that are more deserving to fight the champion than I am at this present moment. But fighting the loser makes all the sense in the world, because they've all fought each other for the most part. And like, who else am I going to fight in the top 5, top 10? All these guys are booked up against each other. And the only one that makes sense is the loser of the title fight. And on top of that is, like, I need to ease into my career a little bit more, in the sense of I've yet to fight in an arena. I've yet to fight in front of a crowd. I've yet to fight in front of like an actual set of people. And fighting for a title fight after being in quarantine is not the solution to that problem. You know what I'm saying? That's like going from one extreme, like one small thing to like the absolute extreme of it, you know? And I think I need that experience. I think I need to walk out in front of a crowd. I feel like I haven't experienced that UFC jitters yet. And it's that time. And I think if I'm being honest with myself, is I think it's just something I need first too. It's just to fight someone who has a big name, but it's a huge name. It's going to give me the platform I need. And then it's also just going to give me a chance to walk out in front of a crowd and familiarize myself. So the first time I'm not walking out into the UFC crowd is for a fucking belt, you know?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's a very realistic point of view, too, from you. Give you a lot of credit there. Because a lot of people will try to, I guess you'd say, run before they walk, so to speak. So it's nice that you kind of have those realistic viewpoints. There are guys in front of you, and there are things you need to experience and things like that. But you did say you plan on making this year the year of the Raw Dog. What is it about this year that you kind of... I was saying this, for example, right when it hit the new year, I said, I'm not going to be that person that goes and posts on social media like, yeah, this new year, new me, this, that, the other thing. But I said, I have a very special feeling about this year. I think it's going to be a good year. I'm sure you probably could relate to that. What is it about this year that has you so optimistic?
Last year was such a dull year that I have all the motivation in the world to make all my dreams come true. I'm right there. It's in grasp. And I started off the year strong. I was able to start the year off with a fight, and luckily I was able to get that win. But that frees me up for in a couple more months. I'm ready for the next fight. I have no injuries besides like a few minor injuries, like a swollen ankle and swollen elbows. That should cure within a week. I should be back in a couple of days, back to training and back to the normal routine and schedule to get back onto track for the next fight. The next few things too, and another opportunity for me is just like, we have a couple of these guys in the top 10, top 5 that are fighting each other. I'm able for short notice first. If Alex Perez and Matt Snell drop off, I'll slide in there. If Kai Kara France are Askarov off, I could slide in there. I'm in a good situation to kind of slide in and smooch into a good spot and just get this experience that I think I desperately need in this flyweight division to move forward. And then also it's just like, I'm feeling good about this year. I think this is a good year to make something happen. And man, I'm just feeling confident and all the above, man. It's just right there, you know?
Hey, man, I understand completely. And now, finally, one last thing before we wrap this interview up here. I did want to get your thoughts on the matchup this weekend with Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo. Just kind of how you see the fight going down on Saturday night here.
Yeah, I picture another fight of the night type of fight between these two. I think it's gonna be back and forth. I think it's gonna be a really close fight. I think Figgy's gonna come out hot. So let's see. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I'm sure if he's going to come out hot, and I'm sure he's going to come out with a whole different set of skill set. So I think it's going to be a real close fight, and I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be back and forth the whole entire time.
Yeah, man, looking forward to seeing that fight. Looking forward to see what you do here this year. One last thing now before we roll out here today. Go ahead, plug your social media so people know where they can find you at. Also, if you have any sponsors, management, coaches, teammates, whoever, go ahead, give a shout out to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Cyrus. EAP Glass, man. Thank you guys for everything. And Brandon Royval on everything, man. That's the way to find me.
All right, Brandon, thanks so much for the time here today. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate all you guys out there watching today's interview. If you liked it, please go to the bottom, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. And I know you guys always see everything at My MMA News, but just make sure you guys are checking out MyMMANews.com for all of our great work that comes out there. Follow our social media pages as well. And speaking of social media, if you want to find me on Instagram or Twitter, I'm at John Aropoli. We'll see you later, everybody.